What's going on, Canes fans, and welcome to episode number 9 of Walking and Venting with Coop, the series where I literally walk along the edge of my property here and we talk about a hot, debatable, controversial, sometimes negative topic when it comes to the Miami Hurricanes. And I crunch around on some of these leaves because fall is definitely in full force here in East Tennessee. Now, a lot of people think that this series is only negative, and that's not the case. Sometimes it's me just talking about something I feel very strongly about, and I put it out there, and I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And this one's going to be kind of a two-parter. I'm going to talk about what I've probably put in the title, and then we're also going to talk about Tyler Van Dyke, because I know that the hot topic right now, what would get the clicks and the views and what everybody wants to talk about, is Tyler Van Dyke. Let's just be honest. They want to talk about the quarterback controversy, the QB debate at the University of Miami. And we will talk about it. We will. I'm going to do a stream tonight, depending on when you're watching this. This goes up on Sunday. I'm going to do a stream talking about it. So it'll be kind of a prelude getting into that. But I want to kick this off by saying something that I think is going to surprise many of you. Maybe, maybe not. Overall, I feel like this Miami Hurricanes football team is actually overperforming for what I expected going into this season. I even had to think about it for a second after I said it, because I understand that it sounds really weird. But let's talk about this whole thing here for a second. Right now, the Canes are sitting at 6-2. And I don't like to play the what-if game. You guys know that. But let's just throw it out there. If they had taken the knee and got the ugly win against Georgia Tech, 7-1. Now, they're not. They're 6-2. I know. But I'm just saying, 6-2, coulda, shoulda, woulda been 7-1 if we had taken a knee. I predicted 7-5. So all things considered, this team is already just one win away from where I thought they would be at the end of the season. So for me, I'm talking about my personal expectations. The team has kind of overperformed. And the thing is, there's still 4 more games to go. Miami still has to play NC State, Florida State, Louisville, and Boston College. So even if, and I don't think this happens, but even if Miami were to lose 2 of those 4 games, they still land on 8-4, which is a little better than I expected. And if by some chance they're able to win 3 of the 4, they end up at 9-3. And after going 5-7 last year, that's a pretty good improvement, right? Now look, I'm not sitting here breaking down specific stats. I'm not talking about passing yards, rushing yards, third down conversion rate, all the stuff on defense, special teams. I'm purely talking wins and losses. And let's talk about the games here for a second. A&M. A lot of people had that as a 50-50 game. I had it as a loss. Miami beats them by 15. First time beating an SEC team in a decade. UNC had that down as a loss. Kind of expected to lose that one. Miami does lose. They lose by 10. That one's kind of, iffy. You now have a UNC team that's lost some very questionable games all of a sudden. We saw them lose to Georgia Tech just the other night. But this season has just been really weird and kind of wonky all around. Take Miami out of the equation. I'm talking about college football as a whole. There have been some pretty wild and crazy upsets. So it seems like North Carolina might be kind of falling apart here in the end. But they played a pretty good first half of the season. And when they beat us, they were what, number 10 or number 12? And that game, I still can't quite put a finger on that one. Because they were able to do what they wanted in the run game and dominate us in the trenches, which we hadn't seen that happen against us. And then we turn around and go against a team like Clemson, who would arguably be better talent-wise in the trenches than North Carolina. And then we did whatever we wanted to them. Really kind of weird, but I think that might just fall back to inconsistencies with this Miami Hurricanes team, both with the players and the coaches. Got to be able to scheme better. Got to be able to make better adjustments. So, there are a lot of variables and things that could have went into that game. But then we also have the Clemson game, a team that we hadn't beat in 13 years. We beat them by 8 in double overtime. So when we're looking at our schedule so far, if you would have told me that we beat Texas A&M by 15 and Clemson by 8 in the offseason, I would have said, sure, I'll take that. I mean, maybe, can you sprinkle in a close game against Florida State too? Because that'd make me a pretty happy Canes fan. I mean, I'm not trying to overhype this team. I understand there's a lot of negativity right now, and we shouldn't have lost to Georgia Tech, and I can't believe we blew it against UNC. And even though we beat Virginia, it was only by 3 points, and we had to go to overtime, and they have no talent. And Tyler Van Dyke is throwing 7 picks in 3 games, and what is going on? And I'm still, in the heat of the moment, upset and yelling and screaming and throwing things. But when I take a step back and I look at what my personal expectations were for this season, and when I take another step back and factor in an OC that's here in year 1, a DC that's here year 1, several position coaches here year 1, Miami's not doing too bad. They're not a great football team. I still think they're just okay. I still think we're kind of just average at the moment, but overperforming. Honestly, I think they are, and it's just funny because I think that's an unpopular opinion right now, and that's when I thought it was appropriate to talk about it in the Walking and Venting, because I think most people are going to say they're underperforming. What do you think? Are the Canes at this point in the season overperforming, underperforming, or right at where you thought they would be? And like I said, if we really want to dive deep and talk about individual stats, maybe that changes a little bit, but I'm just talking about kind of wins and losses at the moment. Even though the UVA game was tight, Miami found a way to win. Florida State also played a tight game against Boston College. They found a way to win. We've seen some other teams that are in the top 10 that have had to fight and claw their way to victory. And even though it was ugly, they were able to stay in the W column. So I'm hoping that this team is, finding a way to win. And we're really finding out that we are building up the trenches. We're finding ourselves in a position to where late in the game, we're able to just bully guys. We're able to just push teams around and assert our dominance on the ground. And it saved us in the Clemson game, and it saved us in the Virginia game. And we've talked about this, that as long as we win the time of possession battle, our defense is playing pretty darn well. I know it's not perfect, but they're playing pretty good. And it actually seems like they're getting better and better. We have some real true playmakers on that side of the ball. But, again, the mistakes are there. Coaching has been questionable at times. Clock management has definitely been a little poor. The play calling has been iffy. But I feel like this coaching staff is kind of learning how to work together and hopefully continue to win more games. The real question here is, what is this team lacking? What does this team need to take the next step forward? To take Miami from an average, okay team to get us up over that hurdle. And that brings me into the second part of this Walking and Venting. It's getting kind of hard to defend Tyler Van Dyke, isn't it? It's tough because I know that the dude is battling injuries. I feel like the coaching staff is kind of downplaying the extent of his injuries, which is to be expected, especially with Mario. And it's a situation here where his mental game, I think, is possibly shot again. But I'm not making excuses. Listen, I saw people during my live stream that said, Coop, stop making excuses for Tyler Van Dyke. He's just not a good quarterback. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's just an okay quarterback. I think he's just all right. He's okay. And I don't think that he's elite. Is it fair to say that? Now, I know everybody, again, is going to play the stat game, and they're going to pull out the numbers and stuff. And they're going to say, well, Coop, but a healthy TVD, I still think that he's just an okay quarterback. I don't think that Miami can take this thing to the next level with Tyler Van Dyke playing QB. Just being honest, because, again, I'm a broken record over here, but I like a vocal QB, a guy that's just a straight dog. I'm talking a baller. And body language does matter to me. And I do think that it impacts the team. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I do think it matters. Because I'm going to do something, and this is not hate. It's frustrating to see. I'm going to impersonate Tyler Van Dyke for you for a moment. I love the guy. He's a Miami Hurricane. He's a family member. But we're allowed to critique. We're fans, right? Nobody's trash on this team. They're playing Power 5 football. None of these guys are trash. They are where they are for a reason. Tyler Van Dyke throws an interception. Tyler Van Dyke takes a sack. Tyler Van Dyke marches out on the field and goes 3 and out on a crucial drive. It's all the same. It's all the same. His facial expression never changes. And I don't know if it's just he has no emotion. I don't know if... Again, you can't make somebody that they're not. We know that that's his personality. Everybody was well aware of that. The issue is when that's the case and you're not balling out, you're coming out and you're throwing a ton of picks, you're staring down one wide receiver. We can talk about reads and stuff and progressions all we want, but obviously he prefers to throw to X because he trusts the guy. It's tough. It's going to be tough to win the fans over because fans overall, you can't speak for everyone, right? But fans overall are kind of done with Tyler Van Dyke. Like they want to move on to the next guy. And I can't necessarily blame them at times. We're at a point to where we finally have like a pretty darn good O-line, right? That's what we've been praying for as Canes fans for so long, is we needed a good O-line that could provide plenty of time in the pocket. We have it. Now we got somebody back there that's just throwing pick after pick after pick. And like I said, I'm not making excuses for him, but I know he's playing injured. Coop, he's just hurt, injured, whatever it may be. He's not right, physically or mentally. And I think that we've seen flashes from him. But I told you, I just don't think that we can go to the next level with him. I don't think Tyler Van Dyke will be a national championship winning quarterback. I just don't think he will be, and it's no hate. So what is this team missing? What do they need? You probably see what I'm getting at. I think they need a baller at the quarterback position. I think they need a leader back there. And we need 1 or 2 more top 5, top 10 recruiting classes if we can manage to do that. That's really about all this team is missing. And then, of course, Mario needs to be a little more willing at times to go in and shop in the transfer portal and bring in some big-time players to fill some of the gaps. I understand that the thought process, especially with this coaching staff, is you're thinking long-term. Transfer portal is kind of a Band-Aid, which can be helpful, but it's not always healthy for the locker room. It's not the long-term solution, right? We want guys that we can bring in here, especially with NIL, that's going to stay 3-4 plus years, you know? Which brings us to one more talking point here, Emory Williams. The fans are split because there's a lot of fans that say, well, Coop, the coaching staff is trying to redshirt Emory. Well, Emory's played in 4 games, right? Which means he would be at his limit. They would prefer to do that, I'm guessing, which might be why they're playing a hurt Tyler Van Dyke. It's very freaking possible. It could be because they don't want to burn Emory's red shirt. Yes, I know we still have Jakari. We'll get to it in a second. Plus, Tyler probably maybe doesn't want to lose his starting position. Maybe he feels like he needs to thrust himself into the game. But you would think the coaching staff and the medical team would say, yo, take a step back, Tyler. You're not ready, right? But here's the deal. People said, Coop, What about the red shirt with Emory? Well, okay, that might be the case, but how come for the Virginia game, Tyler and Emory split the reps with the first team offense? Meaning, if Tyler couldn't go, guess who was going to play in the Virginia game? Guess who would no longer have their red shirt? I think that the coaching staff is thinking about winning right now, because if this team came out and only won 5 or 6 games this year, it's it would have a very negative impact on the future when it comes to recruiting and things. So it already kind of puts Miami in a hole. Right now, Miami needs to win. And if that means burning Emory's red shirt and he ends up only just playing like 5-6 games this season, it's just going to have to happen. I've already told you guys my opinion on Jakari. An athletic specimen. Dude oozes athleticism. I don't think he's necessarily the perfect fit for this offense, and I don't know that he ever starts again here at Miami. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think he does. I think that Emory is, again, we talk about the red shirt thing. Well, Jakari's available. How come he didn't split the reps with the first team offense in preparation for Virginia? Explain that. And, well, Coop, Dawson and Mario praise Jakari all the time. Again, I'm sure there's some things that he does really well. I'm not hating on the dude. But again, they might come out and add some small critiques, like he still needs to work on this a little. They're not going to come out and be like, well, you know, the freshman is QB number 2 behind Tyler Van Dyke, who is healthy, by the way. He's 90 to 100%. Yeah. You know, but our other guy, he's probably just going to hit the portal, you know, should probably play somewhere else. They're not going to say that. This team is missing a leader and a baller at the quarterback position, a couple more recruiting classes, and this team could be something special. There is potential. Build up a little more chemistry with the coaching staff. It's their first year coaching together for several of them. That takes a little bit of time. Yeah. But I think the team is overperforming when it comes to what my personal expectations were. And mine were relatively low. You guys already know, 7-5. I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised. And so far, wins over Texas A&M and Clemson. Yeah. I'm not too upset. I'm not. I knew we would drop 1 or 2 surprise games. We do it every year. So I had set myself up to be prepared and ready for it. UNC was not a surprise. Georgia Tech was. But out of these next 4 games, man, if I'm being real, NC State is winnable. It's going to be tough. It's at NC State, but it is winnable. Florida State, bro, I'm still not expecting a win. I'm sorry. I know rivalry, throw the records out the window, but I'm still not expecting a win at this point in time filming this. Florida State has been the one team that's been like very consistent in the ACC. When we're talking about Louisville, I don't know about that one, bro. That'd be 2. I think we can handle Boston College even with the distractions day after Thanksgiving at BC. I think we can still handle those guys. The team is right at about where the expectations were for me, and actually a little bit above it. Let me know your thoughts, man. Like I said, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who disagree. Don't think that I'm trying to sunshine pump and say it's rainbows and unicorns, because that's not what I'm doing. There's some obvious issues that need to be addressed. There are plenty of negatives. But I wanted to take a step back and kind of look at the big picture, look at this thing as a whole, and just kind of see what I thought about it. And that's actually how I feel about it. Really, it is. I didn't expect us to be great just yet. Was hoping, but didn't expect it. I'm going to go back and watch this because we might have just witnessed Bigfoot walking by. I don't know if the camera picked that up. That's definitely not a bird or a squirrel. That, whatever that was huge. Probably just a deer or a bear or something. Whew! It sounded big though. On that note, Coop's gonna head inside. Let's wrap this thing up. Boy, if the camera didn't pick up that audio, I'm gonna look like a crazy person. Which is true anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.